25 hours of video content training you on the basics of ColdFusion development practices. So we'll follow best practices, we'll ensure that we're giving you security hints and tips along the way, but the course is actually designed for you to consume the video content ahead of time and then come on.
Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Elishia Dvorak. Gosh, am I saying your name wrong? That sounds like you're in the that crazy keyboard that people use, but I know that's not you. Could have been though.
No, but it's the same name, and actually it's pronounced Dvorak, but I don't do that because I'm from California and we make up our own names for everything.
Oh, how do you pronounce it?
Dvorak.
Dvorak. Okay, same name, different pronunciation. And yes. If you don't know her, she is the Adobe Technical Marketing Manager and knows all kinds of details about ColdFusion and e-learning products that come out of Adobe. And she actually started as a ColdFusion developer many years ago. So, and you may have seen her at CF Summit on stage talking about the API Manager or the performance tuning monitor that just came out in ColdFusion 2018. So, very famous person. In the ColdFusion world.
Didn't say that.
But today we're going to be talking about something new, which is the ColdFusion Specialist certification that is releasing at CF Summit in October this year in Las Vegas. So maybe we better start off by asking, what exactly is this certification?
Thank you for asking. So the Specialist Certificate, it's a certificate program that will hopefully be the first of more to come, but this will be basically combined training with about, I would say, somewhere around 22 to 25 hours of video content, training you on the basics of ColdFusion development practices. So we'll follow best practices, we'll ensure that we're giving you security hints and tips along the way, but the course is actually designed for you to consume the video content ahead of time and then come on site with us for a whole day of review and questions and answers and additional training on site. And the instructor will go over all of these different concepts and ensure that you have thorough knowledge of all of them before you take about, I would say, a quiz that's at the end. I would say it would be about like 45-minute quiz at the end to get your certificate. And that would be a certificate of completion from Adobe, which will have badges associated with it that you can put on LinkedIn for job searching and things like that. And of course, we'll print up a certificate for you as well. So it's really exciting because it's the first of its kind, actually.
Wow. So, and how much does this cost? It sounds pretty inclusive, really.
The whole course, including the video and the on-site full day with us in Las Vegas, is $399. And that includes a hot breakfast, lunch and snacks for the day as well.
Wow. So a whole day of training for $399 is quite a deal. And not only is it a whole day of training, but you've got nearly 3 full days of video training as well. So really it's 4 days of training if you think about it that way.
Right. And the great thing about the video training ahead of time is that that's at your own pace. So we do require you to get through the full content of video before you come on site with us. So you have a base knowledge there, but you can do that all at your own pace ahead of time on whichever days and times that you'd like, and then just sit with us on site for one day.
All right. And then when do you receive all those videos and other assets for the training?
You should receive the videos for the training at least 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time. So you should have a good amount of time to sit in and put an hour or two a day into watching some of the videos and going through the content, setting up your system, and even asking the instructors questions along the way. So we will be involved and engaged with you beforehand as well through our learning management system.
All right. Oh, so this is all produced inside the Adobe Learning Management System.
That's right.
Well, why not? Best to eat your own dog food, right?
Right. Prime is a perfect tool to use that for.
So for someone listening who's maybe a ColdFusion developer or IT manager, why should they or their team get certified?
Well, number one, I think it encourages people to not only go in and see where they're at with their knowledge, but also there might be some areas where they haven't had the opportunity to spend that much time in. So depending on the applications they work on, let's say, for example, you have a legacy application that doesn't make any use of PDF functionality or doesn't give you an opportunity to do object-oriented programming or something like that. Maybe you haven't been exposed to as much of that in the past, or you haven't had the time to look into it. This gives you a really good breadth of knowledge at that base level for you to at least get some really good best practice information on those subjects, and then ask questions and try the code out ahead of time. So not only does it give you that training aspect, but also once you take that quiz at the end of the day, it allows you to get certified and at least bring something back to your team and your management to show that you have a certain skill set that Adobe deems worthy of calling a ColdFusion developer.
So that might actually help out in getting a future promotion or being hired for a cool ColdFusion job in the future.
Absolutely.
And I remember there was a certification a while back. How is this different from that one?
This is actually quite different. I said it was the first of its kind because it is a combined training and certificate program. The ones that we had in the past were really very disengaged from Adobe, and you basically, I remember you had to go in and study for the training or study for the exam on your own, and you didn't technically have, unless there was one of the workshops that some third party had put on, you didn't really have a way to figure out whether your knowledge was the same as what they wanted to learn, or if you were just allowed to, you're just learning how to answer the questions properly. So the previous certificate or certification from Adobe was simply an exam. If you got a certain amount of questions right, you would pass it. If you got I think a higher number of questions right, you would get a designation as advanced. But I don't think that really gave you an actual credibility for that designation. This one trains you for that material first, and then allows you to sit with us in person with our experts, and our engineers will also be involved in the room as well to answer any questions that you have and really ensure that you have a good understanding of it. So the goal for our team is actually to ensure that you understand all of these concepts thoroughly in the way that best practices and security suggest that you do.
Okay, so when you say training, it's not like you're with 100 other people and there's one instructor. You've got teaching assistants, and Adobe staff will be wandering around the room answering people's questions. Is that how it works, or am I misunderstanding?
Yes, so from the very start of when we release the videos to you through the Captivate Prime Learning Management tool, you will have engagement with Adobe. So you'll be able to ask not only the instructors questions, but you'll be able to get in touch with us as well on our team. Then during the class, we have a very limited number of seats that we're going to be filling for this. And I'll talk a little bit more about that because that's really important here right now. But imagine yourself in a small classroom style where you will all be going through that material together, answering questions. There will be an instructor in the room that's instructing all of the content and going through the format of the day. But in the classroom, there will also be at least 2 other TAs comprised of an Adobe engineer, and either another community professional expert or possibly even myself. So you'll have a lot of help in the room from the Adobe team and the community experts as well.
So that way, if there was something you didn't understand, you've got two chances to get your question answered. You can either answer them in the 2 or 3 weeks prior to CF Summit's CF certification one-day training, through online, or you can get them answered in person on the day.
That's correct.
Now, do you need to bring your own laptop to this, or how does that part work?
Yes. So we do expect you to bring your own laptops, a modern laptop, please. I think I've seen some really old laptops that come through, and we do our best, but we can't work miracles either. So bring, a generally modern laptop, and, we're going to have some instructions on what to have installed prior to this. So that will be released a few weeks ahead of time as well. And I encourage everyone that signed up for this to go through and first do the configuration and the installation so that you ensure you have everything correctly done, and utilize our team for any questions you have on that process. We can walk you through it as well. But that'll save you time on the day of too, when you get there, to not have to spend so much time in setup.
Well, for folks who haven't installed ColdFusion and got it all running as a development setup, that's a great opportunity to get that all done and helped with as well. So, I'll include links to the site where you give those specs on what you need to have for your modern laptop. Not a Chromebook. You need something a bit more beefy than that. And you definitely want to get it set up ahead of time, because I remember last year there was some training and some people hadn't installed the software and then they lost out because they had to spend time installing software instead of learning ColdFusion. So that is good. Now, I'm assuming that people will be learning the features in CF 2018. Is that the case, or is it older versions, or what? What features are we learning in this?
We are not focused on ColdFusion 2018. However, we would like you to have that version installed to ensure that you're up to date on the latest tags, functions, attributes, everything that is in the 2018 version, of course. So the content itself is not geared toward any specific version. It is a current level ColdFusion developer course. So it means that basically we're going to go over ColdFusion development as a focus instead of what new features that are in 2018 that you need to know. So that's not what this is about. As a matter of fact, many of the features that are in some of the newer products are not included in discussion here, because certainly we don't have enough room to go over API Manager, for example, or performance monitoring tool. So we won't be doing
a whole other full day training, I'd have thought.
Yeah.
Right? If you wanted to learn all about those. But there will be sessions at the main CF Summit talking about both of those, I believe. So
yes, absolutely.
Now, I'm kind of curious. It's been 10 years since there has been a certification. What led Adobe to want to bring the certification back?
Well, I think since I started on this team, there have been numerous people, either community members, developers, or organizations especially, that have come up to me asking for some type of certification for ColdFusion, and we never had one. The second item was they're asking for training. So what we wanted to do is actually combine those two and bring together a single course that would allow us to deliver the basic level training and certificate together. And I thought that would allow us to get the most bang for our buck, I guess, on the effort level for this and the budget level. So like I said, I'm hoping if we are successful, and it seems like right now there is a lot of interest in this, then we will probably try to continue this program and give people, at least the more advanced folks, some training and certificate on other things that are really important, like security, for example, or like I said, API manager or some other tool that we have.
Now, wasn't there some security training at CF Summit East this year? I vaguely remember.
Yes. So Pete Freitag from Fanbio has actually been putting on pre-conference labs, which are full-day workshops for our ColdFusion developers to get more training on security best practices. And we did have that at Summit East, and we will have that this year at Summit West as well. So that will be going on at the same time as the CFML Developer Certificate.
But that one is just training. There's not a certification with that right now.
Correct.
Is that true? Okay. So if you want to get certified, this is the one to do, the
Yes,
ColdFusion
this is going to be the only certificate. The specialist certificate for CF will be the only one we're going to be issuing a certificate for and doing a quiz for.
All right. So very exciting. I think we should go into some of the details of the topics that it covers, because I'm sure people want to know what they're going to go into. And I will say, last time I took a ColdFusion certificate, which probably was quite a while ago when it was last available, I did learn some new stuff. You know, it's like, I didn't know you could do that. Then I had to learn all about it. So, you know, even people who are, you know, veteran ColdFusion developers, you're going to learn some stuff in here you didn't know. But tell us what are the highlights of what you learn in certification.
So I have to say, this was the hardest part so far of trying to figure out what to do about this and put it together. I think we spent a couple of months going over really what we need. And I know that you can all imagine that we went off on every tangent possible as to what does it mean to be a certified developer or a specialist for ColdFusion. And we came back to the basics of what do you use on a regular basis to build web applications with ColdFusion, modern web applications with ColdFusion, I should say. And so we kept to that focus when we said we're going to basically put together a course that outlines the specifics of not only getting started, of, you know, introduction with some of the basics, like how to work with form, how to work with statements, using CF loop and some of these other tags that are really popular. But we also wanted to at least get into some of the object-oriented pieces as well. So we take you from more of a beginner level series of videos into the fundamentals of includes and working with custom tags and things like that, to more of the starting to be getting into more advanced topics like the object-oriented programming. Now, I'm aware that many of these could be their own course, especially object-oriented programming, right? Or just going over the database, the things that you can do with the database, and you know, things like store procedures. But what we wanted to do for one course is keep it to a place where within that 8-hour day, you would feel that you had a very good level knowledge of each of these subjects. And we felt that these are the high level categories that really mean the most when it comes to being a specialist in ColdFusion.
So it's basically giving you the fundamentals that you need to be a good ColdFusion developer today, and helping you make sure you're good at all those fundamental things in database and arrays and lists and structures and scopes and, you know, the application framework and creating PDFs and, you know, as you mentioned, object-oriented code, as well as all the basic statements in ColdFusion, CFML and CF script.
Yes, and I think it's important to note that I keep coming back to saying with best practices in mind. So ensuring that not only you know how to use CF query, but you also know how to mitigate against security issues, that vulnerabilities that you might open yourself up to in the app. So we thought those were basic items that you should know as you're getting into, let's say, database operations. So we went over each of these areas, and we want to make sure that at the same time, even if you do know how to do some of these things, because let's face it, it's not hard to learn ColdFusion typically and use a tag, but that you're doing it in the proper best practices way with standards and keeping in mind modern practices for security as well. So we have a team of people that we're working with to ensure that we're delivering the content appropriately and ensuring that we also have best practices and security in mind too.
That is great. So as well as all the coding, what about the IDE and, you know, this ColdFusion admin? Is that covered at all, or is that?
Now, as far as the administrator, we're not going to get into more the heavier details about how to set everything up. This course is designed to be specifically for ColdFusion development. So we wanted to kind of narrow it down there and leave off the administrative features. However, we did include some information about Builder because ColdFusion Builder is the current development tool that Adobe has. And we want to ensure that we're utilizing that and people have a base knowledge of some of the features and capabilities within Builder, and they know how to use it if they were a developer coming in from, let's say, another language. So we do have some information on Builder.
So that might tell you some of the more advanced features you didn't know in ColdFusion Builder and debugging and things like that, I'm guessing.
Yes and no. So we'll get into some of that, yes, but I think that our CF Builder portion is going to be less than, let's say, the time that we spend on the fundamentals of development and the fundamentals of PDF operations and database operations. So we have a lot to talk about. So we'll minimize some of the other items for CF Builder, but we will touch on some of that, yes.
Okay, and then I thought there was some basic ColdFusion admin stuff in the course, but maybe I misunderstood that. I thought you learned how to create data sources. And,
there will be a reference to the getting started videos that we have already created, which do go over administrative capabilities like setting up a database or some of the items that a developer might do. Absolutely.
Okay, but if you wanted, you're not going to go into super advanced admin stuff in this thing. It's just what a developer might need to know.
Right.
And then you mentioned object-oriented ColdFusion, and I know a lot of people do objects and CFCs in their coding. Is how much do you go into objects?
Well, I know that we're not going to go into detail. Like I said, I think that this object-oriented piece is actually a good example of something that we not only can make a separate course for, but we likely will in the future, because I think that's an area where I keep hearing that a lot of people have a basic knowledge of object-oriented programming, but they might not get into some of the more advanced capabilities. So think about this as an introduction to the OOP stuff in CF, and it will give you a base level knowledge on that.
Okay. So if you haven't done objects, or maybe you've done them a bit, but you haven't used all the different things, it's going to help you get the fundamentals of object orientation in ColdFusion, like inheritance, constructors, and all the different things you can do. So cool. Sounds like a lot of material to get through in 24 hours of video instruction and a day of training. Yes. So
like I said, that was one of the harder things that we've done so far. Now we're just battling the timeline, I think.
Yeah. Well, you've got a couple of months before this all has to be together, right?
Yeah, we'll keep it on track.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Adobe's pretty strict at keeping to deadlines. You've got a hard deadline of October. Is it what date is this? Is it September 30th?
The in-person training for this will be September 30th. We have about, I believe, 120 seats. It's a hard limit for those. And we are at, I believe, around 80, 89 at this point. So like I said, we do have a lot of interest in that. So if you're planning on potentially taking it, then definitely sign up now, because I just don't have any more room to open up another class. And I have already 3 classrooms that we're going to be running at the same time, with about 40 people in each room. So the main thing I don't want to do is overburden the TAs and instructors with too many people in the room, because I don't think that's going to give anyone a good experience, especially the people that are training. So sign up early, sign up now, because I imagine it's going to be sold out in the next probably 4 or 5 weeks.
Right. I think that's good advice. I remember last year the training classes got sold out. So, and we'll put the link for this. It's basically the ColdFusion Summit website, and there's a special page that tells you all about the specialist certification and lets you sign up there for it. So that is cool. And this is all happening at the Mirage in Las Vegas. Is that right? Or
yes. So this year's summit will take place in Las Vegas again at the Mirage, and it's a beautiful hotel. They've redesigned a lot of the rooms there, and we have a great space that's very close to the elevators. So you won't have to walk very far at all. It's all contained in one space, and the evening event will also be close by. So should be a great event.
There's an evening event for people who take this training?
Well, there's an evening event for the summit.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
But typically the people that are taking the training will also actually come to the summit because there's a bundle package.
Of course. Yes. What's the deal on the bundle package?
The bundle package is $4.99, and it includes the $3.99 training plus the $99 conference pass. So
what a deal. So you'd get...
It's a fantastic deal, because the costs, are way more than that.
Yes. Las Vegas is an expensive town to put on an event. So it sounds like you get 3 days of video training, a full day of in-person on-site training, and then you get 2 days of conference sessions and keynotes and ability to mingle with Adobe engineers and other ColdFusion developers, all for $4.99.
That's right. I don't think you'll find a better deal anywhere else, actually.
No, I think not. So I'm kind of curious. Some people ask, why do you do CF Summit in Las Vegas? There must be a good reason for that.
Yeah. So Las Vegas happens to be a very easy place for most people to get to from all over the country. And the flights happen to be a lot less expensive typically than going to, say, your New York or your DC, your other large cities, San Francisco. And so our focus was actually on low cost options, because we wanted to make sure that it was accessible and it was economical as well to go to the conference. And so, as many of you know, Adobe puts in a lot of our budget to make this happen. It's kind of our gift back to our community. We want to make sure that you all have a place to go to mingle with each other. I think that most of the people that come out of it come back learning quite a lot of new modern technologies that they didn't know they could use with CF. And so they're seeing a lot of great use cases, but they're also meeting a lot of people too. So I think that's kind of most of what they come back with is as really good experiences in meeting other developers and seeing how many people are really involved in ColdFusion still.
Yeah, I mean, CF Summit, if you haven't gone to it, is an amazing experience to up your ColdFusion game and also meet some of the people you may have met online, or create new relationships with people. Also, if you are having any problem in ColdFusion or tech question, or you just wish there was a feature in ColdFusion, this is the one time where you've got all the Adobe engineers and managers gathered in one place, and you can tell them all about what it is that you need help with or wish was in ColdFusion. So great opportunity to do that. And usually the keynote announces exciting new features, and I'm just going to guess that there will be announcements about ColdFusion 2020 coming out in this summit. Not necessarily what the date is, but what we can look forward to seeing, because I know Ashish, the VP of Engineering, has lots of cool things up his sleeves. So
absolutely. So I think you'll just have to come and see, but I'm hoping to make several announcements there. Yes.
Oh, and you'll be making announcements too. All right.
We're going to announce all kinds of stuff.
Wow. Well, I can't wait.
I think that'll be the place to go to figure out what's happening with CF over the next couple of years.
Absolutely. And hundreds of people, I think there were 500 developers there and managers last year were there, I'm thinking. And I'm sure there will be that or more there this year. And I remember I was at CF Summit East. I saw you speak at that on the main stage about the performance monitor. And I think there were more people there than there ever been in previous years. It's just been growing every year. So
yeah, Summit East has been another one of our events that we really had seen so much growth in. I think, what was it, 3 years ago we started it? We started with only 60 people, I think, the first year. And that's grown to over 250 now, over just a couple of years later. So we have enormous growth there as well. And I think people have actually come to me wondering if we were going to kind of combine them or move the events. But it seems to be working out really well to have it in DC. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, DC is pretty convenient for the whole East Coast. So
absolutely.
If not West,
we want to make it easy. We want to make it convenient. We want to see as many people there as possible and meet people face to face and talk to them about how they're using ColdFusion. I'm astonished, every week where I meet new people and talk about what their applications are and how important they are to them. And I didn't even know sometimes what was going on or what type of applications they have, because they're not posting blogs about it online. But I am very proud of that.
Maybe they should be publishing blogs or tweeting or whatever and saying what
yeah, cool things. A lot of these companies are not able to do that, right? Because they have legal resources that are not going to allow them to talk about their internal applications.
Yeah, makes sense. They have to be on the QT for what they're doing. So, and I believe there's going to be a CF Summit in India this year as well. Is that still the case?
Yes, absolutely. So Kishore runs that every year, and that one has actually grown quite a bit too. I want to say they had upwards of a couple hundred people there too. So very big event now that's growing in India too. So it's love to see all of these events grow and see these developers come together. And I think you guys are going to be really impressed by the content this year and the developers that have come up with some really good examples and content to share with you at the summit too. So those sessions, I'm hoping that you're interested in those topics, but hopefully you'll be really impressed with the caliber of speakers and content that we have this year too.
And any thoughts of CF Summits happening anywhere else?
Perhaps. We'll have to see. Every year we look at everything and we have to reevaluate, Michaela.
Yeah, so if people wish there were a summit somewhere else, maybe they should contact you and suggest ideas. You'll add it into the...
I'm happy to have a summit elsewhere, even outside of the States. But, you have to look at all the business factors involved as well.
Absolutely. They're very expensive to put on, I know. So it depends what you have. And of course, there are other ColdFusion conferences happening around the world too. So there's CF happening in Germany. And we just had the Into the Box conference happening in Texas, which I guess is part of the United States, right? So
yes, but I hear that there's going to be more conferences happening outside of the States and inside of the States. So I think that Adobe will continue to sponsor and participate and support these other ColdFusion conferences as well. And hopefully, if we can't make our own conference, we'll certainly support the conference that is there and see what we can do to market it as well.
Great. So one thing I forgot to ask about the certification, is this like an intermediate level or beginner level or advanced? What level is CF certification?
I would say this course is designed to be beginner intermediate level. So what we did was we wanted to start not from ground zero. So it's not that beginner level, which is why we also have a lot of video content. Plus we're going to have the getting started videos to ensure that everybody, even at a beginner level, you can come into the course and consider yourself probably around an intermediate level when you get certified and you finish the training. So we understand that many of our current developers, especially the ones that come to ColdFusion Summit in Vegas, have a number of years, between 2 and 5 years at least, behind them from CFML development. So we didn't want to miss the opportunity to provide something that they would be interested in as well. But like I said, I think depending on your situation and how long you've been with the platform and what opportunities you had as a developer, you might have missed some of these concepts in a way that would provide you an intermediate level knowledge of them.
Great. And I'm kind of curious, how does this compare to some of the other ColdFusion training resources out there, like Learn CF in a Week?
I'm glad you mentioned Learn CF in a Week. So that program is still running. That's a website. It's learncfinaweek.com. And that is a self-paced program to allow you to get the basics of ColdFusion development as well, with best practices and security in mind. But it's a self-paced tutorial basically. And I know that that's being updated right now as we speak too. So it's being updated with content, ensuring that that content as well is current.
Great. And of course that doesn't include a certification test or an on-site training. So, but probably does prepare, there's probably quite a lot of overlap in the content. So if you've done that would help you in getting faster speed up on the certification, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah. So anything else you want to share about the certification?
I think that's it. I definitely want to push you to sign up early so that you can grab your spot. Like I said, I think we've only got, I would say, maybe another 50 spots left in that certificate.
My goodness, you only released it a few weeks ago, didn't you?
Yes, it's filling up. That's why I keep mentioning it. So every week we look at the numbers and it looks like it's filling up quite a bit. So definitely sign up now if you really want to be involved, because like I said, I've got 3 instructors, 3 classes, and I have a really hard limit of 40 people that can attend, just to ensure that you have a good experience coming in. So
can you transfer your ticket to someone else in your organization if for any reason you couldn't come on the day? Or
yes, so we'll allow a transferability there too if somebody else is coming.
So there's really no reason not to sign up today.
No, there's no reason. Sign up now. Sign up today. Save your spot.
Well, we'll talk further about CF Summit another time, because there's like, how many speakers this year? It's like 40, is it? Or
I believe we have 40 sessions plus 2 keynotes, or day 1 and day 2 keynotes. We have 4 tracks that are going to be running at the same time. So it will be, 40 hours of content coming to you. Each of those sessions is an hour. And I believe we have around 36 speakers, I want to say, potentially. There's a couple of speakers that have 2 sessions. So 36, 37 speakers.
Fabulous. So we'll do a separate podcast episode on that, because it deserves to have a lot more time than just 5 minutes to talk about all the exciting things in it. So let's just turn, we're now in 2019. A lot of things have changed in ColdFusion. This is not your father's or mother's ColdFusion anymore. And I talk to a lot of ColdFusion developers and CIOs. I'm writing a new book on ColdFusion. I've been interviewing CIOs, and some of them, are using ColdFusion 2018, but some of them, you know, are using older versions. I don't want to embarrass them by saying how old, but let's say in the single digits, you know. Why are you proud to use ColdFusion 2018? You know, what's so cool about ColdFusion? What's changed in the last 10 years with ColdFusion?
Well, as you know, 2018 is way different than your 8s and 7s and earlier. I think that the main feedback that I've received on 2018 is that it is a solid release, and it was a solid release out the door. And I think a lot of that has to do with the number of hours the engineering team spent in effort to ensure that we increase performance. So between ColdFusion 11 and 2018, you will get a 40% performance gain on the runtime in your applications.
Wait a minute. Did you say 40 or 4?
40%, 40%. 40% gain from CF11 on average. So, and this is not just a marketing statement that I'm coming up with. Other people that I've met with that have put 2018 in place tell me that there is a noticeable difference in performance. And as you all know, performance is key right now. I think that our team has really listened to the customers in this version and focused so much on performance, and they're getting the results from that, not only in a stable release, but a really fast performing release. And to top that off, we created, as you know, the brand new performance monitoring tool set that is available in 2018, both in Standard Edition and Enterprise Edition. And that's a great tool that is no additional cost for monitoring your entire topology of architecture with ColdFusion Server instances. So those are the main things that I would say. In addition to that, of course, there's a lot of language updates. There were a lot of issues that were fixed. And I think the number one thing for those system administrators out there is that we're giving you a whole day of work back to automatically provide the lockdown steps for you in the 2018 version. So there is a new automated lockdown tool that allows the assist administrators, the ones that are setting up the servers, to do that hardening on that server for within like 2 to 3 minutes, as opposed to the original 9 hours they were spending.
Wow. So amazing a number of new things in ColdFusion. You know, new language features, faster, more security features, the whole API manager that we didn't even delve into, but you and I did a podcast interview on that I'll link in. So if you haven't looked at ColdFusion since CF9, you're going to be blown away by what's in there. And
absolutely,
you know, two good ways to learn about that are to do the certification and pick up some of the cool stuff, and then go to the CF Summit and learn what's new in ColdFusion. Now, sometimes when I'm interviewing CIOs or CTOs, they're under the impression that ColdFusion didn't even exist anymore, and it, you know, died some while back. But really, there's a lot of people using it. And in the last 2 years since we launched the CF Alive movement, I think more and more people are recognizing that ColdFusion is more alive. But my question to you is, now we're in 2019, what would it take to make ColdFusion even more alive this year?
This year, I think that we certainly could, again, use a lot of assistance from the community. And actually, I encourage the community to engage with like the CF Alive podcast, engage with our blog, write a blog about the things that you know. It's always encouraging to see participation in those forums. And obviously, we would love on the marketing side to be able to tell your story. If you do have a ColdFusion application that you're willing to tell a story about and we can publish, then we would love to hear that story and be able to talk about it a little bit more. And so I think that if we could just get a lot more interaction with our community members, we might find out more stories that are out there that we can talk about and tell everybody who's using it. Because Like I said, I'm actually surprised quite frequently about the extent of use of ColdFusion applications. And certainly the customers that I generally tend to meet with are, our larger accounts. But when I go on site, I'm blown away by the use case there. And it's not just legacy applications that were built 20 years ago that are just kind of stale and not being used as much. I'm talking about maybe a legacy application that was built 10 years ago that has been updated, actually. So I wouldn't call that a legacy application anymore. It's a current modern application that had been updated over time and improved, and they're using the new features, and they're taking all of that functionality that we're providing and pushing ColdFusion to its limits. And so we're seeing a lot of growth in the software as a service solutions that are being sold as a service to other large companies too. And that growth is huge too. So I'm surprised and I'm proud to be a part of this community and a part of Adobe in this business unit because of that, because we are making things work. We're creating business solutions with this product, and let's face it, it works and it's fast.
Excellent. And if someone wanted to share a story, should they email you or Kishore or someone else at Adobe? Or?
Yes, they can email me or they can email Kishore. Either one of us will take that opportunity up and we'll have a chat with them.
All right. And what is your email?
It is my first name at adobe.com. So Elishia at adobe.com.
Great. And we'll put that in the show notes together with all your other amazing sites that you have. So, so anything else you're looking to at this year's CF Summit that you didn't talk about earlier?
Well, you'll just have to see.
Oh, okay. Might be some secrets being revealed. Okay.
Well, I have some ideas that we want to do. I know that we might do things a little bit differently, but I think I just want you guys to come and see for yourself and then give me some feedback after the conference.
All right. Well, I'm mystified. Now I'm even more curious to go. So if we mentioned your email address on Twitter, is that a good place to find you? Or?
You can get me on Twitter. My Twitter alias is Elish Dvorak at Adobe. I'm sorry. It's at Elishia Dvorak. So Elish and then Dvorak.
All right. And any other links you want to give out that would be useful for folks?
Well, I know that you're going to provide the CF Summit at adobeevents.com.
Yeah, so it's cfsummit.adobeevents.com, yeah. And we'll put that in the show notes on the TerraTech site as well. Well, it's been fabulous talking with you today about the Adobe ColdFusion Specialist certifications coming out and little sneak peeks about CF Summit. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me. It was really fun talking to you.